Trident Emblem, the secret of immortality, the divine tale of Lord Shiva Trident Emblem. Since the beginning of creation, Lord Shiva has been regarded as the master of destruction and creation. He is the eternal and infinite being beyond all boundaries. For his devotees, Shiva is not just a deity, but the very soul of the universe. Great scriptures like the Shiva Purana, Skanda Purana, Linga Purana, Padma Purana, Garuda Purana, Matsya Purana, Mahabharata, and Ramayana narrate the glory of Lord Shiva and describe his divine pastimes. These sacred texts mention the significance of Shivaratri, the origin of the Shivling, his marriage with goddess Parvati, the blessings he bestowed upon his devotees, and his infinite compassion. This tale weaves together 10 divine incidents where Lord Shiva tested his devotees, destroyed demons, blessed the gods, and showered his grace upon his followers. These are not just stories, but a path to understanding the essence of Shiva Tattva, the ultimate truth that teaches us about life, devotion, and self-realization. Since the dawn of existence, mankind has been curious about the mystery of death and has sought to uncover the possibility of immortality. Is there a way to transcend the cycle of birth and death? Can anyone truly achieve eternal life? The answer to this profound question was once given by Lord Shiva himself to goddess Parvati. Upon the sacred peaks of Mount Kailash, Lord Shiva was deep in meditation. Around him, the white snow of the Himalayas glowed in divine radiance, the cool breeze whispered softly, and the atmosphere was filled with a celestial tranquility. By his side sat goddess Parvati, immersed in devotion and eager to learn the ultimate truth. For a long time, a question had been stirring in her heart, one that she had wished to ask. She wondered, Lord Shiva is immortal, but is it possible for anyone else to attain this state? Is there a secret that can grant freedom from death? With a voice as melodious as divine music, she asked, O Mahadev, you are the beginning and the end of creation. You are forever eternal, beyond the grasp of death. But what is the secret behind this? Can anyone else attain this immortality? Is there a way to overcome death? Lord Shiva looked at goddess Parvati with a gentle smile and a mystical glow in his eyes. He knew that this was not just her question, but a question that had arisen in the minds of countless beings since time immemorial. He smiled and replied, O Devi, this secret is extremely sacred and has never been revealed to anyone before. But if you truly wish to know, I shall take you to an isolated place where only we shall be present, ensuring that no one else hears it. A pointing triangle, the journey to Amarnath cave Lord Shiva, accompanied by goddess Parvati, set out in search of a secluded and sacred place. They left Mount Kailash, crossed the rugged peaks of the Himalayas, and finally reached a mystical cave hidden within the snow-clad mountains. This was the Amarnath cave, surrounded by eternal glaciers and untouched serenity. However, the secret of immortality was so powerful that Lord Shiva first ensured that no one else could overhear it. To achieve this, he took the following steps. Fire he left his divine bull, Nandi, on the Himalayan slopes. Fire he dismissed his serpents, asking them to remain behind. Fire he commanded his attendants, Ganas, and spirits to stay outside. Fire he even withdrew the 5 great elements, earth, water, fire, air, and ether from the cave. Finally, Lord Shiva drew a powerful line of divine fire, Mahakal Jwala, around the cave, preventing any living being from entering. Now, only Shiva and Parvati remained inside the sacred cave. At this moment, Lord Shiva prepared to reveal the eternal secret of immortality. He further explained, the one who, through devotion, meditation, and spiritual practice, merges their soul with Shiva, transcends the cycle of birth and death, and attains moksha, liberation. This is the real immortality. Goddess Parvati asked, Can anyone attain this immortality? Lord Shiva replied, Yes, anyone who walks the path of truth, devotion, and self-realization can attain it. Goddess Parvati was mesmerized by this divine knowledge. However, at that very moment, Lord Shiva sensed that someone else was also listening to this sacred discourse. He looked around the cave and discovered a pigeon's egg hidden in a corner. The egg had heard the entire tale. As soon as the story was completed, a young pigeon hatched from the egg. Since it had listened to the entire secret of immortality, it became immortal. This is why, even today, two pigeons are seen inside the Amarnath cave, symbolizing the divine presence of Shiva and Parvati. Goddess Parvati, upon hearing this story, was filled with immense joy and enlightenment. Lord Shiva declared that any devotee who sincerely embarks on the pilgrimage to Amarnath and listens to this tale shall also attain spiritual immortality. From that moment onwards, it is believed that the two pigeons residing in the Amarnath cave are living proof of Lord Shiva's eternal story. Trident emblem, the legend of Amarnath, is not merely about attaining immortality, but about spiritual awakening and the path to moksha. Trident emblem. This is why, every year, thousands of devotees undertake the arduous journey to Amarnath to witness the sacred ice Shivling and consider themselves blessed. Triangular flagon post, chant Om Namah Shivaya continuously and seek the divine grace of Lord Shiva. Triangular flagon post. Mahashivaratri is a festival dedicated to Lord Shiva, celebrated on the Chaturdashi Tithi of Krishna Paksh in the month of Falguna. On this day, worship, bhajans, and meditation dedicated to Lord Shiva hold immense significance. The Shiva Purana and Linga Purana described the importance of the Shivratri fast and its divine significance in great detail. A long time ago, a dispute arose between Lord Vishnu and Lord Brahma over who was the greatest among them. Ego had taken over both of them, leading to a growing conflict. Seeing this, the Devas approached Lord Shiva to resolve the issue. To shatter their pride, Lord Shiva manifested as an infinite pillar of fire, Jyotirlinga, which had neither beginning nor end. Lord Shiva declared, "Whoever finds the end of this Jyotirlinga first shall be considered the greatest." Hearing this, Lord Vishnu took the form of a boar, Varha, and dived deep into the earth to find its base, while Lord Brahma transformed into a swan, Hamsa, and flew upwards to find the top. After a long time, neither of them could find the end of the infinite Jyotirlinga. Lord Vishnu accepted the truth and returned humbly, but Lord Brahma deceived everyone by falsely claiming that he had reached the top with a ketki flower as false evidence. Seeing this deception, Lord Shiva became furious and cursed Brahma that he would no longer be worshipped on earth. This is why there are no grand temples dedicated to Brahma. However, Lord Vishnu and Brahma both praised and worshipped Lord Shiva, which pleased him. Lord Shiva then proclaimed that whoever worships the Shivling on the Krishna Chaturdashi of Falguna month shall attain liberation, moksha. This is how Mahashivaratri came into being. It is also said that in ancient times there was a hunter named Gurudruha who survived by hunting animals in the jungle. He was ruthless and had no connection to religious practices. One day, while searching for food, he wandered deep into the forest and got lost. As night fell, he climbed a tall bale tree to take shelter. Coincidentally, beneath that tree, there was a Shivling. Throughout the night, as he remained awake, bay leaves and water from his body unknowingly fell upon the Shivling. Without realizing it, he performed a complete night-long worship of Lord Shiva. By morning, his heart was purified, and devotion arose within him. Lord Shiva, pleased by his innocent and unconscious act of worship, granted him salvation, moksha. According to the Shiva Purana, Mahashivaratri also marks the divine marriage of Lord Shiva and Goddess Parvati. After Mata Sati's self-immolation at Daksha's Yajna, Lord Shiva went into deep meditation. Meanwhile, Mata Parvati performed intense penance to marry Shiva. Pleased by her devotion and dedication, Lord Shiva agreed to marry her, and their sacred wedding took place on the Krishna Chaturdashi of the Falguna month. For this reason, Devotees celebrate Mahashivaratri as the divine union of Shiva and Shakti. The Shivratri fast holds immense spiritual significance. Observing this fast helps eradicate sins, grants moksha, and frees the soul from the cycle of birth and death. It is believed that observing Shivratri fast fulfills all desires, removes hardships, eliminates poverty and diseases, and brings marital bliss and progeny. On Mahashivaratri, night-long vigil, Jagaran, is observed. Devotees offer water, milk, honey, bay leaves, and dhatura on the Shivling to please Lord Shiva. Chanting Om Namah Shivaya and observing fasting is considered highly auspicious. Mahashivaratri is not just a festival, but a spiritual journey toward self-purification and divine consciousness. Triangular flagon post sparkles. Shivratri fasting is also mentioned in the Anushasana Parva of the Mahabharata. It narrates how Arjuna obtained the Pashupatastra through the worship of Lord Shiva. The war of Mahabharata was near. On the battlefield of Kurukshetra, countless warriors were sharpening their swords. The wheels of chariots rode, and the entire Aryavarth was awaiting a great war. But what would be the outcome of this war? Who would emerge victorious? No one knew. To win this fierce battle, Arjuna needed divine power that could make him invincible. Shri Krishna, Arjuna's charioteer and guide, knew that there was only one weapon that could make Arjuna unbeatable in this great war, the Pashupatastra. This weapon belonged to Lord Shiva himself, and acquiring it required severe penance. Shri Krishna advised Arjuna, if you wish to be victorious in this war, you must worship Lord Shiva. Only he can grant you the divine weapon that will be decisive in this battle. Determined, Arjuna sought permission from his elders and brothers and set out on his journey of penance. He traveled to the Himalayas, where the snow-capped peaks symbolized eternal peace and divinity. Upon reaching there, he renounced his weapons, wore only a deerskin, and immersed himself in deep meditation and worship of Lord Shiva. Arjuna followed strict fasting. He went without food and water for several days, meditating solely on Lord Shiva. Every day, he poured Ganga water over the Shivalinga, offered bay leaves, and chanted Om Namah Shivaya continuously. His penance became so intense that even the gods were amazed. However, Arjuna's test was yet to come. Lord Shiva decided to test his devotion. He took the form of a Kirta, hunter, and arrived at the site of Arjuna's penance, accompanied by goddess Parvati. At the same time, a wild buffalo, Mahisha, appeared, wreaking havoc in the forest. Arjuna immediately picked up his bow and shot arrows at the buffalo. But at the same moment, the Kirta, Lord Shiva in disguise, also struck the beast with his arrow. Both arrows hit the target simultaneously, and the buffalo fell dead. Witnessing this, Arjuna became angry and said to the hunter, "Who are you to claim my hunt?" Lord Shiva, in his disguised form, smiled and replied, "This forest belongs to everyone, and this hunt is not yours alone." Arjuna was unsatisfied with this answer and challenged the hunter to a duel. Lord Shiva accepted the challenge, and a fierce battle ensued between them. Arjuna used all his strength and skill, but he could not defeat the Kirta. He launched his most powerful arrows, but the hunter easily countered them all. For the first time, Arjuna realized that the opponent before him was no ordinary being. He then closed his eyes and meditated on Lord Shiva. At that moment, he received divine insight and understood that the Kirta was none other than Lord Shiva himself, testing him. Arjuna immediately fell at the feet of Lord Shiva and humbly apologized with folded hands, "Om Mahadev, I failed to recognize you. Please forgive me and bless me." Pleased with Arjuna's devotion, Lord Shiva lifted him and said, "O Partha, I am pleased with your devotion, courage, and penance. I grant you the divine Pashupatastra. This weapon is so powerful that it can destroy the entire universe. Use it only in the most extreme circumstances." Lord Shiva touched Arjuna's forehead with his hand and bestowed the Pashupatastra upon him. At that moment, the gods showered flowers from the heavens, and the glory of Shiva echoed throughout the cosmos. Goddess Parvati blessed Arjuna and said, "O Arjuna, you are not only a great warrior, but also a true devotee. The blessings of Lord Shiva will always be with you." Arjuna then bowed to Lord Shiva and returned to Sri Krishna. When he showed the divine weapon to Sri Krishna, Krishna smiled and said, "Now, you are not only a supreme archer, but also have the special grace of Lord Shiva. This weapon will grant you victory in the battle of Kurukshetra." Thus, the Anushasana Parva teaches us that true devotion and rigorous penance to Lord Shiva can make the impossible possible. Those who observe the Shivratri fast with faith, stay awake throughout the night, and worship Lord Shiva receive his divine blessings. Just as Arjuna obtained the Pashupatastra, a true devotee of Shiva attains liberation from all sorrows and ultimately achieves moksha, salvation. This is why the Mahashivaratri fast is considered highly auspicious. The Ramayana is filled with infinite mysteries and incredible events. Every aspect of Lord Rama's life carries a profound message of dharma, devotion, and duty. However, very few people know that Lord Rama and Mata Sita themselves observed the Shivratri fast and worshipped Lord Shiva. This event took place when Lord Rama, Mata Sita, and Lakshman were in exile. They wandered through the forests, gaining wisdom from sages and destroying demons to restore righteousness. One day, they arrived at the hermitage of a great sage. There, they saw that the sage and his disciples were observing a sacred fast in honor of Lord Shiva. Lord Rama humbly asked, "O great sage, what fast are you observing, and what are its benefits?" The sage replied, "O scion of the Raghu dynasty, we are observing the Shivratri fast in honor of Lord Mahadev. This fast destroys all sins and grants liberation. Whoever observes this fast, abstains from food, and stays awake at night in devotion to Lord Shiva attains immense spiritual merit." Understanding the significance of this fast, Lord Rama and Mata Sita decided to observe it with full devotion. Mata Sita worshipped Lord Shiva, while Lord Rama offered water to the Shivling. That day, they kept a strict fast, remained awake all night, and immersed themselves in Shiva's devotion. Lord Shiva was pleased with their worship, and a celestial voice echoed through the sky, saying, "O Rama, your devotion is eternal. This fast will bring immense blessings to all who observe it." Later, when the time came to march toward Lanka, Lord Rama was reminded that before slaying Ravana, he must worship Lord Shiva. This was the moment when he prayed to the ocean deity for a passage to cross the sea. The ocean deity advised him that if he worshipped Lord Shiva, victory would surely be his. Without delay, Lord Rama decided to establish a Shivling on the seashore and perform a grand worship. He sent Hanuman to Mount Kailash to bring a divine Shivling for the ritual. Hanuman immediately set off on his journey, but as time passed, the auspicious moment for the puja began slipping away. Seeing the delay, Lord Rama became concerned. At that moment, Mata Sita molded a Shivling from the sand, and Lord Rama worshipped it with full devotion, seeking Lord Shiva's blessings for victory over Ravana. Just then, Hanuman returned with the Shivling from Kailash, only to find that the worship had already been completed. Feeling disheartened, Hanuman expressed his sadness. To console him, Lord Rama said, "O Hanuman, the Shivling you brought is equally sacred." He then worshipped both Shivlings, and even today, at Rameshwaram, both these sacred Shivlings are enshrined, one crafted by Mata Sita, and the other brought by Hanuman. Pleased with this grand worship, Lord Shiva granted his blessings, saying, "O Rama, this Shivling will be revered for eternity. Whoever worships it will be freed from all suffering and will attain liberation." Thus, Lord Rama himself observed the Shivratri fast and worshipped Lord Shiva. This event proves that even the incarnation of Lord Vishnu himself needed the blessings of Lord Shiva to attain strength and victory. This is why the Shivratri fast is considered supremely significant. Whoever devoutly worships Lord Shiva on this day attains all prosperity, fulfillment of desires, and ultimately the gateway to moksha, liberation. In ancient times, after the creation of the universe, as the expansion of existence was taking place, a great dispute arose between Lord Vishnu and Lord Brahma over who among them was the greatest. Both began to describe their own forms and duties, each trying to prove himself superior. This debate caused a stir throughout the cosmos. The deities, sages, and all beings of the universe eagerly awaited the answer to the question, who was truly supreme, Brahma, the creator of the universe, or Vishnu, the sustainer? As the dispute grew, so did their egos. Seeing this, the deities sought the guidance of Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva, who is the foundation of creation and the master of destruction, decided to put an end to their arrogance and reveal the truth through a divine play. Suddenly, an incredible light emerged in the sky. This light gradually took the form of an infinite pillar of fire. This pillar was so vast that it had no visible beginning or end. It was a radiant and extraordinary Jyotirlinga, illuminating all directions. Its divine brilliance was so intense that both Brahma and Vishnu stood stunned. At that moment, a celestial voice declared, "Whoever finds the end of this pillar first shall be deemed the greatest in the universe." Brahma and Vishnu accepted the challenge. Brahma assumed the form of a swan and began flying upward to find the top of the pillar, while Lord Vishnu took the form of a boar and attempted to reach its depths. Brahma soared higher and higher, but he could not see the end of the Shivalinga. He kept ascending, but the pillar of fire was infinite. After flying for a long time, he grew exhausted, yet still could not find its limit. Just then, he came across a ketki flower, which seemed to have fallen from the top of the pillar. Brahma asked the flower, "O divine flower, do you know where the end of this Jyotirlinga is?" The ketki flower replied, "I have fallen from the top of this pillar, but it is so vast that no one can find its limit." Brahma, realizing that he was failing in his quest, devised a plan. He said to the ketki flower, "Will you be a witness that I have seen the top of the Shivalinga?" The ketki flower agreed. Brahma then descended proudly and declared to Vishnu, "I have seen the end of this pillar." Vishnu, who had spent a long time trying to find the base of the Shivalinga but had failed, humbly admitted, "I could not find its depths." As soon as Brahma finished speaking, Lord Shiva emerged from the divine pillar of fire. His form was supremely radiant and awe-inspiring. The Ganga flowed from his matted locks, the crescent moon shone on his forehead, and serpents coiled around his neck. Lord Shiva's presence was both majestic and fearsome. Turning to Brahma, Lord Shiva thundered, "O Brahma, you have spoken falsehood. This Jyotirlinga is infinite, without beginning or end. In your arrogance, you attempted to conceal the truth and sought false testimony from the ketki flower. For this sin, from this moment onward, no one in creation shall worship you. No temples will be built in your name, nor shall you be offered prayers." Then, Lord Shiva addressed the ketki flower, "O flower, you have supported deceit. From this day forward, you shall never again be used in my worship." After this, Lord Shiva turned to Vishnu. With hands folded, Vishnu humbly said, "O Lord, I have now understood your infinite glory. You alone are the foundation of creation, destruction, and preservation. I surrender to you." Pleased with Vishnu's humility, Lord Shiva declared, "O Vishnu, you remained on the path of truth and accepted your failure. Therefore, throughout creation, you shall be worshipped and revered by all." Following this, Lord Shiva proclaimed that this Jyotirlinga would remain revered until the end of time. "Whoever worships this Jyotirlinga shall receive merit equal to my divine presence. This Jyotirlinga shall be a symbol of my eternal existence, and through it, devotees shall attain me." This Jyotirlinga later became one of the 12 sacred Jyotirlingas, which are venerated across India. From that moment on, the festival of Shivratri was observed, as it marked the manifestation of Lord Shiva in the form of the infinite Jyotirlinga. Thus, this story from the Linga Purana teaches that Lord Shiva's form is boundless and immeasurable. Ego holds no power in the face of his divinity, and only through truth and devotion can one attain his grace. Whoever worships Lord Shiva on Shivratri with sincere devotion achieves liberation, and all their sins are absolved. Trident emblem Shiva and Parvati's marriage, as described in Padma Purana Trident emblem. The Padma Purana states that the night of Shivratri is an extremely auspicious and divine night, during which the worship of Shiva Linga fulfills all desires. This is the very night when Lord Shiva and Goddess Parvati's sacred marriage took place. Long ago, when Goddess Sati self-immolated in King Daksha's yajna, Lord Shiva was overcome with immense grief. He withdrew from the world and immersed himself in deep meditation on Mount Kailash. Without his presence, the balance of the universe began to collapse. The Devas, sages, and all beings became deeply concerned, for they knew that only Lord Shiva could sustain the creation, preservation, and destruction of the cosmos. If he remained in eternal meditation, the entire universe would be in peril. Meanwhile, Goddess Sati was reborn as Goddess Parvati, the daughter of King Himvan, Himalaya. From her early childhood, she was deeply devoted to Lord Shiva. She remembered the past events of her previous birth and vowed to marry Lord Shiva once again. She embarked upon a severe penance, enduring hardships, fasting, and constantly meditating upon Lord Shiva. Her unyielding devotion impressed even the Devas. However, the Devas feared that if Lord Shiva remained in eternal renunciation, the universe's harmony would be disturbed. Desperate for a solution, they approached Lord Vishnu and pleaded for his guidance. Lord Vishnu explained that only Goddess Parvati had the power to bring Lord Shiva back into the world. But to accomplish this, Shiva had to be drawn toward her. To make this happen, Indra and the Devas turned to Kamdeva, the god of love. They requested him to use his powers to break Shiva's deep meditation so that he could accept Goddess Parvati's devotion. Kamdeva was hesitant, for he knew that Shiva was immensely powerful and could be wrathful. However, for the welfare of the universe, he agreed to undertake this difficult task. Kamdeva summoned the season of spring to aid him. The Himalayan mountains, where Shiva was meditating, suddenly bloomed with flowers. Sweet melodies filled the air, and a divine fragrance spread throughout the surroundings. At the same time, Goddess Parvati was present there, serving Lord Shiva. Kamdeva then shot his arrow of love at Lord Shiva to break his meditation. As soon as Lord Shiva's penance was interrupted, his fury erupted like a storm. Enraged, he opened his third eye, unleashing flames of destruction, and Kamdeva was instantly reduced to ashes. The Devas, terrified, begged Lord Shiva for forgiveness, explaining to him Goddess Parvati's penance and unwavering devotion. When Lord Shiva saw the intensity of Goddess Parvati's devotion, he was deeply moved. Recognizing her true love and dedication, he decided to accept her as his consort. A wave of divine joy spread throughout the cosmos. The Devas rejoiced and prepared for the grand celestial wedding. The long-awaited wedding day finally arrived, and Lord Shiva set out with his unique wedding procession, Bharat, toward King Himvan's palace. However, this was no ordinary procession. It was a sight beyond imagination. It included ghosts, spirits, celestial beings, sages, gods, and mystical creatures. Lord Shiva himself looked fearsome, his body covered in sacred ash, adorned with serpents, wearing matted locks, and a garland of skulls around his neck. Seeing this astonishing sight, Goddess Parvati's friends and attendants were alarmed, fearing that their princess was marrying an ascetic. But Goddess Parvati, unwavering in her devotion, accepted Lord Shiva in all his divine forms. King Himvan welcomed Lord Shiva and performed the wedding rituals with great reverence. The grand celestial wedding was solemnized with the blessings of all devas and sages, as divine flowers rained down from the heavens. The entire universe rejoiced, celebrating the sacred union of Shiva and Shakti. It is believed that this divine wedding took place on the night of Krishna Chaturdashi in the month of Falguna, and hence, this day is celebrated as Mahashivaratri. On this auspicious night, whoever worships Lord Shiva with true devotion attains eternal blessings, peace, prosperity, and liberation, moksha. Offering water, milk, Bilva leaves, and Dhatura flowers to the Shivalinga on Shivratri night pleases Lord Shiva, granting the devotee divine blessings. This is why devotees observe night-long vigils, fasting, and singing hymns on Mahashivaratri, celebrating the eternal union of Shiva and Parvati, the supreme cosmic energy. Triangular flag and post, trident emblem sparkles.
Trident emblem: the importance of Shivling worship and Mahashivaratri as described in Skanda Purana. Trident emblem. In ancient times, when devas, sages, and ascetics were deeply devoted to the worship of Lord Shiva, his divine glory resonated throughout the universe. He was revered as the supreme being, and his devotees worshipped him with utmost devotion. However, there came a time when unrighteousness, adharma, began to rise in the world. People started forgetting their duties and became entangled in material pleasures. Only a few sages and saints continued to uphold dharma, while the rest of humanity was lost in illusion and desires. One day, the great sages realized that dharma was declining, and they became deeply concerned. Seeking a solution, they decided to perform intense penance to invoke Lord Shiva. After years of severe austerities, Lord Shiva finally appeared before them. His divine form was radiant, adorned with serpents, the crescent moon shining on his forehead, and his third eye emanating divine brilliance. From his matted locks, the sacred Ganga flowed, purifying the entire cosmos. Lord Shiva affectionately asked, "O revered sages, why have you undertaken such intense penance? Tell me, how can I assist you?" The sages humbly joined their hands and said, "O Mahadev, the world is sinking into darkness and unrighteousness. People have forgotten their duties and strayed from the path of dharma. Sin is increasing, while virtue is diminishing. Please reveal a way by which humanity can return to the righteous path and attain moksha, liberation." Lord Shiva, with a gentle smile, replied, "O sages, I shall reveal a sacred secret that will bring well-being to the entire world. Whoever worships my lingam form, observes fast, and remains awake in devotion on the Chaturdashi, 14th day, of the Krishna Paksh in the month of Falguna, shall be freed from the sins of countless lifetimes. That devotee will attain moksha and will reside in Shivaloka." The sages then asked, "O Lord, please tell us the proper method of observing this sacred fast and its significance." Lord Shiva explained, "This holy night shall be called Shivratri. Whoever fasts, worships the Shivling, and remains awake in devotion throughout the night shall be freed from all sins. On this day, offering water, milk, honey, Bilva leaves, and Dhatura on the Shivling will bring my divine blessings." He further added, "Whoever chants Om Namah Shivaya on this night with a pure heart shall be freed from all sorrows. Even if a person sincerely utters my name just once on this night, they shall gain merit equivalent to thousands of years of penance." Hearing this, the sages were overjoyed. They bowed before Lord Shiva and vowed to spread the significance of this sacred fast throughout the world. Thus, the festival of Mahashivaratri was born, and from that day forward, devotees have observed it with great devotion. It is said that whoever fasts, worships the Shivling, and stays awake in devotion on Mahashivaratri, earns immense divine merit, not just in this life but in future births as well. This fast is not an ordinary vow, but a path to the destruction of sins, self-purification, and the ultimate liberation of the soul. On this night, Lord Shiva himself bestows blessings upon his devotees, granting them protection and a place in his divine abode. Over time, Mahashivaratri has become more than just a fast, it is a celebration of devotion, penance, and self-purification. On this sacred night, devotees flock to Shiva temples, observe fasting, and spend the entire night in prayer and hymn chanting. The Shivling is bathed with holy offerings during all 4 prahars, phases of the night, and the powerful mantra, Om Namah Shivaya, is continuously recited. A devotee who observes Mahashivaratri's sacred fast with sincerity receives Lord Shiva's blessings. Their sorrows vanish, their worldly attachments dissolve, and they ultimately attain liberation, moksha. This is why Mahashivaratri is considered the holiest night for Shiva devotees, a night when Shiva's grace is boundless. Triangular flag on post trident emblem sparkles.
Matsya Purana, the importance of Shivratri Vrat and night vigil. Long time ago, in the caves of the Himalayan mountains, there lived a great sage named Chavana. He was a devoted worshipper of Lord Shiva and spent his entire life in penance and devotion. One day, some curious disciples arrived at his ashram and asked, "Gurudev, please tell us about a sacred fast that can destroy all our sins and help us receive Lord Shiva's divine blessings." Sage Chavana opened his eyes and smiled. He replied, "My dear disciples, there is no greater path than the path of devotion to Lord Shiva. Whoever surrenders to him is freed from the bondages of this material world." The answer to your question lies in an ancient legend that was once narrated by Lord Vishnu himself during his Matsya avatar, fish incarnation. There was a time when chaos and unrighteousness spread across the earth. Sin and adharma had reached their peak, and people had strayed away from the path of righteousness, dharma. Witnessing this terrible situation, the Devas, celestial beings, decided to seek refuge in Lord Shiva. They all ascended Mount Kailash, where Lord Shiva resided, and began to chant his divine praises. Pleased by their devotion, Lord Shiva appeared before them in his radiant divine form. His matted locks held the sacred Ganga, his third eye shone with divine brilliance, and his crescent moon glowed above his forehead. He was adorned with serpents, and his aura spread tranquility across the cosmos. Lord Shiva asked them, "O Devas, why have you come to seek my refuge?" The Devas humbly folded their hands and said, "O Mahadev, humanity has forgotten its duties. People have abandoned devotion and penance, and have become inclined towards sin and illusion. If this continues, unrighteousness will take over the entire world. Please show us a way by which humankind can return to the path of dharma and attain moksha, liberation. Lord Shiva smiled gently and replied, "O Devas, I shall now reveal a powerful and sacred method that will cleanse all sins and grant divine grace. Whoever observes a fast, stays awake in devotion, and worships me on the Chaturdashi, 14th day of the Krishna Paksh in the month of Falguna, will be freed from the sins of countless lifetimes. Such a person will experience joy and prosperity in this life and attain moksha, liberation, after death." The Devas then asked, "O Lord, how should this sacred fast be observed?" Trident emblem, the ritual of Shivratri Vrat trident emblem. Lord Shiva instructed, On this day, devotees should bathe early in the morning and take a sacred vow to observe the fast with utmost devotion and sincerity. Throughout the day, they should remain on a fast, and during the night, they must stay awake in prayer and worship. During the 4 prayers, phases of the night, the Shivling should be worshipped as follows. 1 key cap first prayer, Abhishek, ritual bath, with water. 2 key cap second prayer, Abhishek with milk. 3 key cap third prayer, Abhishek with honey. 4 key cap fourth prayer, Abhishek with sacred Ganga water. Devotees should offer Bilva leaves, Dhatura, Akshat, unbroken rice, sandalwood paste, and sacred ash, Bhasma, to me. Whoever chants my name with a pure heart on this night will have all their desires fulfilled. Hearing these divine words, the Devas spread the significance of this sacred fast throughout the universe. Since then, whoever worships the Shivling on this night observes the fast and stays awake in devotion is freed from all sins. Their soul is purified, and they ultimately attain Shivlok, the divine abode of Lord Shiva. open book sage Chavana's teachings to his disciples. After narrating this divine legend, Sage Chavana's disciples were overjoyed. They decided to observe the sacred fast of Mahashivaratri with unwavering devotion. Since then, devotees across generations have worshipped Lord Shiva on this holy night, observed fasting, and stayed awake in prayer and hymn chanting. Lord Shiva's glory is boundless, and whoever worships him with true devotion crosses the ocean of worldly existence and attains liberation, moksha. Triangular flag and post, trident emblem sparkles.
In ancient times, Maharishi Shaunaka and other sages gathered in Naimishranya and asked Sutaji, O great sage, please tell us, what path does the soul take after death? Is there a way for humans to escape the harsh punishments of Yamloka and attain liberation? Sutaji smiled and replied, O sages! The answer to this question was once given by Lord Vishnu himself to Garudaji. When Garudaji asked the Lord about the journey of the soul after death and whether there was a way to escape the fear of Yamraja, Lord Vishnu revealed a divine fast that could lead a person to Shiva Loka instead of Yamloka. That fast is the Shivratri Vrat. Lord Vishnu said, whoever observes the Shivratri fast, stays awake all night, and worships Lord Shiva does not have to endure the hardships of Yamloka after death. Instead, they are directly taken to Shiva Loka. Garudaji, astonished, asked, O Lord, why is this fast so powerful? Is there any example of someone who attained liberation through this fast? Lord Vishnu replied, Yes, Garuda. I will tell you a story that proves the significance of this fast. A long time ago, in the city of Chitrakoot, there was a king who was righteous and devoted to Lord Shiva. However, his son was immersed in worldly pleasures and indulgence. He never performed any religious duties or participated in virtuous acts. When he died, Yam's messengers seized him and began taking him to Yamloka. As soon as he arrived at Yamloka, the terrifying sights there made him tremble. Darkness, painful cries, and the torments of hell surrounded him. Overwhelmed with fear, he begged Yamraja, O Lord of Death, I must have made some mistake. Please grant me one opportunity to escape this severe punishment. Yamraja spoke in a stern voice, O Prince, throughout your life, you indulged in sins and never performed any righteous deeds. The suffering of Yamloka is the result of your actions. The prince, shaking, asked, O Yamraja, is there any way I can escape this suffering? Yamraja replied, there is only one way you can be saved. If someone in your lineage has ever sincerely observed the Shivratri fast, their merit can grant you liberation. The prince's soul was filled with hope. At that moment, Chitragupt turned to Yamraja and said, O Yamraja! The prince's father had devotedly observed the Shivratri fast and worshipped Lord Shiva. Because of his merits, this soul can be granted passage to Shiva Loka. Yamraja immediately issued an order, if his ancestors have observed the Shivratri fast, then he has no place in Yamloka. Let him be taken to Lord Shiva's divine abode. As soon as Yamraja spoke these words, a divine light appeared, and Lord Shiva's celestial attendants arrived. They took the prince's soul with them and carried him directly to Mount Kailash, where he attained moksha. Lord Vishnu then told Garudaji, this is why, O Garuda, the Shivratri fast is so powerful. It not only grants liberation to the one who observes it but also to their descendants. Whoever fasts on this day, worships the Shiva Lingam, and stays awake in devotion, is freed from Yamraja's authority and attains Shiva Loka. Garudaji, hearing this story, bowed to Lord Vishnu and said, O Lord! Indeed, the Shivratri fast is the greatest of all fasts. I, too, shall observe it and spread its glory. Thus, Garuda Purana explains that *** whoever sincerely observes the Shivratri fast, does not have to face Yamloka after death but instead reaches Shiva Loka and receives the divine grace of Lord Shiva. This is why Shivratri is considered the greatest festival of self-purification and liberation.
In ancient times, there was a hunter named Gurudruha. He lived by hunting animals in the forest. He had no knowledge of religion, nor did he have any interest in worship or rituals. Throughout his life, he had never offered prayers to any deity. His heart was hardened, and his mind was always engrossed in violence. One day, as usual, the hunter went into the forest in search of prey. But that day, he found nothing. He wandered for hours, trying to catch an animal, but his efforts were in vain. Evening approached, darkness spread across the forest, and hunger and thirst tormented the hunter. He thought to himself, "If I do not find food today, my family and I will starve." Desperate for food, he ventured deeper into the forest. After wandering for a long time, he reached the bank of a river where he saw a large Bilva tree. The hunter thought, "It is already night, and finding prey in the dark will be difficult. Why not climb this tree and wait? As soon as an animal comes to drink water, I will shoot my arrow." Thinking this, he climbed the bale tree, took his bow and arrow, and remained there in anticipation. Unbeknownst to him, underneath the tree stood an ancient Shiva Lingam, but he was unaware of its presence. As the night deepened, cold winds began to blow, and the hunter started feeling sleepy. However, whenever he dozed off, his body lost balance, and he would hold onto the branches to prevent himself from falling. In the process, bay leaves from the tree began falling directly onto the Shiva Lingam below. This continued throughout the night. The hunter unknowingly kept dropping bay leaves on the Shiva Lingam, and his eyes, filled with exhaustion and regret, shed tears that also fell upon the sacred idol. He spent the entire night awake, hungry and thirsty. As dawn approached, a deer came to the river to drink water. The hunter immediately aimed his arrow at it. Just as he was about to release the arrow, the deer spoke in a pleading voice, "O hunter, I have just returned from meeting my young ones. If you must kill me, please allow me to go back and bid them farewell. I promise to return." The deer's gentle words touched the hunter's heart, but his hunger and cruelty had made him merciless. He hesitated but eventually let the deer go. Shortly after, another deer arrived to drink water. The hunter once again took his bow, but this deer also pleaded, "O hunter, I have a wife and children. Let me see them one last time. I promise to return." The hunter pondered for a moment and allowed it to leave as well. In the final hours of the night, a third deer arrived. This time, it was a female deer with her young ones. The hunter immediately prepared to shoot, but the mother deer spoke with sorrow, "O hunter, my children are still small. If you kill me, they will become orphans. Can you truly be this merciless?" For the first time in his life, the hunter's heart softened. He realized that he had spent his entire life in violence, thinking only of his own survival. But was such a life worth living if it lacked compassion and empathy? A profound realization struck him. He thought, "I have lived my whole life in cruelty, thinking only of feeding my family. But what kind of life is this, devoid of kindness and mercy?" With this thought, his conscience awakened. He understood that violence led to nothing but suffering. He lowered his bow and stepped down from the tree. Suddenly, a divine voice resonated from the heavens, "O Gurudruha, unknowingly, you have observed my worship throughout the night. You have offered bale leaves upon my lingam, stayed awake in vigil, and shown mercy to living beings. This is equivalent to observing the sacred Shivratri Vrat. Your sins have been destroyed, and now you shall attain liberation." The hunter looked up in astonishment. Tears flowed from his eyes, and he bowed down in devotion. He praised Lord Shiva with a pure heart and vowed never to engage in violence again. He abandoned hunting and spent the rest of his life in Shiva's devotion, becoming a great sage and devotee. Thus, this story demonstrates that even unknowingly observing Shivratri can bring divine blessings. This sacred night is not just about fasting. It is an opportunity for self-purification, devotion, and the awakening of compassion. Whoever worships Lord Shiva on this night attains peace, prosperity, and ultimately, liberation. A very ancient time ago, the preserver of the universe, Lord Vishnu, the creator, Lord Brahma, and all the deities had gathered at Mount Kailash. They were deeply concerned because the terror of demons had greatly increased in the world. The leader of these demons was Tarkasura, who had obtained a boon that only the son of Lord Shiva could defeat him. But the problem was that Lord Shiva was deeply engrossed in meditation and had completely severed his ties with the world. The gods knew that until Lord Shiva married, Tarkasura could not be defeated. But how could they bring Lord Shiva out of his deep penance? This was a very difficult question. All the deities discussed and finally decided to seek the help of Goddess Parvati. Goddess Parvati was born as the daughter of King Himvan and Queen Mana. In her previous birth, she was Sati, who had sacrificed her life in the yogic fire due to the insult of her father, Daksha. But she was reborn as Parvati to once again attain Lord Shiva as her husband. Since childhood, she was a devoted worshipper of Shiva and considered him her everything. When the deities requested Goddess Parvati to win Lord Shiva's heart with her devotion and persuade him for marriage, she decided to undergo intense penance to attain Lord Shiva as her husband. Goddess Parvati began her severe austerities. She survived only on fruits and roots for several years. Later, she gave up food entirely and lived only on dry leaves. Eventually, she even abandoned water and survived on air alone. Her intense penance shook the entire universe. The gods, sages, and hermits were astonished by her dedication. Finally, Lord Shiva, pleased with her devotion, appeared before her. Lord Shiva said, "O Devi, I am pleased with your penance. Ask for a boon." Goddess Parvati humbly said, "O Lord, if you are pleased with me, then please accept me as your wife. My existence is solely for you." Lord Shiva smiled and said, "O Parvati, you are my consort as Sati, and now, as Parvati, you are once again mine. I accept you as my wife." Thus, Lord Shiva granted the boon of marriage to Goddess Parvati. Meanwhile, the news of Lord Shiva's wedding spread throughout the universe, and the gods rejoiced. They wished for this divine marriage to be grand and celestial. King Himvan and Queen Mana began preparations for the grand wedding. However, when Queen Mana heard that her daughter was marrying a hermit who lived in cremation grounds, wore snakes around his neck, and covered himself in ashes, she became deeply worried. She thought, "Is this truly the right match for my daughter?" But Goddess Parvati reassured her mother, saying, "Mother, the one you describe is not just an ascetic, but the supreme being of the universe. He is both the beginning and the end, beyond time and space. There is none equal to him." The wedding day arrived. Lord Shiva set out from Mount Kailash with his wedding procession. But this was no ordinary procession. Accompanying Lord Shiva were his bizarre and terrifying attendants: ghosts, spirits, demons, serpents, yogis, sages, and celestial beings. The sight was astonishing. Some gods and sages were delighted, but many were bewildered by this unique procession. As the wedding party reached King Himvan's palace, Queen Mana was terrified when she saw Lord Shiva. She saw that the sacred Ganges flowed from his matted locks, a venomous serpent coiled around his neck, his body covered in ashes, and he wore a tiger skin. His attendants also appeared strange and fearsome. Queen Mana turned to Goddess Parvati and said, "Daughter, is this truly the husband you have chosen? He looks like a renunciant. I cannot allow you to marry such a being." Goddess Parvati humbly tried to convince her mother, but she was not persuaded. Just then, Lord Shiva manifested his divine form. He appeared adorned in celestial garments, a crown of radiance, and his divine glow illuminated all directions. Seeing this majestic form, Queen Mana was overwhelmed and joyfully accepted Lord Shiva as her son-in-law. Then, the wedding ceremony was conducted. The gods, along with Lord Vishnu and Lord Brahma, performed the sacred rituals, and the entire cosmos was filled with joy and celebration. The gods showered flowers, sages chanted Vedic hymns, and the entire atmosphere became divine. With Lord Shiva and Goddess Parvati's union, the universe rejoiced, for the time had come for their divine son Lord Kartikeya, to be born, who would later slay Tarksura and liberate the gods from his tyranny. Thus, the marriage of Lord Shiva and Goddess Parvati was not merely a union of two divine beings, but an event of great cosmic significance ensuring the balance of the universe. To commemorate this divine marriage, the festival of Mahashivaratri is celebrated every year. Whoever sincerely worships Lord Shiva and Goddess Parvati on this day attains eternal blessings, happiness, and peace. The divine pastimes of Lord Shiva are not just mythological tales, but profound teachings of devotion, faith, and penance. These stories remind us that Lord Shiva is not only the destroyer, but also the most compassionate and benevolent deity. Whoever remembers him with true devotion receives his blessings. The festival of Mahashivaratri is not just a celebration, but an opportunity for spiritual purification. Whoever observes a fast, performs night-long worship, chants Om Namah Shivaya, and meditates upon Lord Shiva, their sins are destroyed and they attain liberation. May Lord Shiva's blessings bring peace and prosperity to all. Har Har Mahadev. Triangular flag and post. If you like this story, please like, subscribe to our channel, and share your thoughts in the comments. Your feedback is valuable to us. Sparkles. If you wish to hear more divine stories, let us know. We will continue bringing you more fascinating and mystical tales. Bell sparkles. Whoever truly meditates upon Lord Shiva, worships him with sincerity, and chants his name can attain his divine consciousness. When a person realizes that they are not merely a mortal body, but an eternal soul, they become free from the fear of death. Practice meditation and spiritual discipline, regular meditation, yoga, and spiritual practice awaken the soul's divine consciousness and lead one to self-realization. Walk on the path of truth and righteousness. A person who follows truth, love, and non-violence becomes free from the cycle of birth and death and merges into Shiva's eternal bliss. Whoever follows these principles attains true immortality. Even if their body perishes, their soul attains liberation. This profound story of Lord Shiva revealed to Goddess Parvati the true meaning of immortality. Immortality does not mean preserving the physical body, but freeing the soul from the cycle of birth and death. Whoever worships Lord Shiva with a pure heart, follows the path of truth, and attains self-realization, achieves true immortality. Lord Shiva said to Goddess Parvati, O Devi, whoever listens to this story and believes in it shall be free from the fear of death. The path to attaining Shiva is through wisdom, devotion, and meditation. Chant Om Namah Shivaya continuously and receive Lord Shiva's divine blessings. Shiva is the eternal truth, and Shiva is immortal. Har Har Mahadev.